Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This time I am working on another community lot speed build and I've decided to work on a restaurant. This is a restaurant that's mainly using, of course, the dine out game pack and base game. The main inspiration for this build is a tree. Yeah, because I initially just wanted to build a really big greenhouse, like a community garden for my Sims, but decided to change it up a bit and turn that community garden into a restaurant instead. You can see that I am now working with the general shape of the build. I went with these very simple peaked roof just to have that very basic shape, and it will allow me some flexibility in terms of roofing and overall design later on with this very simple straightforward structure. And then I decided to spice it up by using glass roofs everywhere. The glass roofs is mostly for the middle portion and the sides of the main structure of the building. That's where the restaurant is gonna be. The parts that are made up of roof, or like the non-glass roof, are just for the kitchen area for the chefs and the bathrooms, of course, for privacy. And the front entrance, I also decided to use some just basic roofing. And then I decided to use black as the contrasting accent, so green and black seem to go really well. Eventually I'll also be using very dark brown for the paint of the exterior and interior. I think it really ties everything together. And you could see that I'm using very large windows on the sides because I think that you can't get enough, or you can't have too much lighting on this, since it is a greenhouse of sorts that's been refurbished into a restaurant. And then there I am adding the fenced area in the middle of the restaurant where a full-grown tree is living in, surrounded by beautiful flowers on the bottom portion. This is specifically why I wanted the middle portion of the building to have double height ceilings, because I wanted the tree to fit in there really well. So that I think I was able to achieve that, and I was really happy with that actually. At this part, I was deciding between the type of shrubbery I was going to put on the outside because I wanted the garden feels to be consistent, of course, in the interior and the exterior of the build. And then, of course, the glass doors that were used in the front of the building. These are just basic sliding doors from base game. I used the same type of sliding doors at the back of the building, which will serve as like a back exit for the guests and the staff as well, of course. And then I wanted to use other colors of flowers as well, of course. I didn't just want to go with green. So there you saw me placing those shrubs with the red flowers on it, and then placing some fountains on both sides of the entrance to make it even more elegant looking, and just, to make it look less bare. That's the fountain I chose, and then I selected that water type wherein the water is a bit murky and there are a lot of dried leaves floating on the surface, which I think fits the aesthetic because it's already surrounded by shrubs, so it would be normal that flowers or leaves rather would end up falling into the fountain and causing it to become that murky color or quality. And then I just added some of those base game fountains that you could add further. So there would be like a water feature. There's some water movement on the structure. Here I'm just adding the basic restaurant appliances. No, the items that you basically need to have a functioning restaurant. I added those and also started to furnish my kitchen area. I'm really sorry for this part where my frame rate dropped. I was working on something aside from the game, and apparently it caused my frame rate to drop extremely. But I restarted the game here and it picked it back up, so thank goodness for that. Yeah, but unfortunately I couldn't re-record it anymore because I saved the build already. And then I just continued to work on that, furnish the kitchen. As you can see, very simple kitchen furnish. On the dining area, I decided to use these L-shaped couches as the main seating on both sides of the building. I thought that this was a very cozy seating area for the guests, and the black color kind of tied in really well with the windows, since the windows are also black framed. And then, it's kind of dark. The tables are also dark wood, which ties in with the wall because the wall paint is actually, that's the dark wood sideboards. Yeah, I use that as the wall inside and outside actually. So yeah, it's very the color is very tree color palette. The greens, the browns, except black. You don't usually see black on trees, but I like black because for me black looked very, trendy and kind of elegant and sophisticated, and I wanted to go with that. I wanted it to be like a very a restaurant that's like very fresh, like to use like very high-end decor, stuff like that. And then you could see that I'm just adding plants everywhere. Thank goodness, because the dine out pack came with such beautiful potted plants, by the way. I think I should have used more of them even, because they were all so beautiful. And then I was just adding these wall arts to further like make the area look more busy and of course less empty. That perfect photo of like a breakfast setup. It's just beautiful for that wall. And then those blackboards that show like the catch of the day for the fish and then the different meats that they're serving. It's so good. And I think I flipped over the waiter's table or station. I flipped it over so it doesn't expose the bits and bobs inside the shelving, and I think it looks classier that way. Hopefully it worked. And then you can see here that I set it to night mode and realized how much there is a lack of light in that building because there's no ceiling. So there were no ceiling lights to add the lighting. So I had to change my little flower vases in the middle of the tables into candles so that, there'll be some added lighting there. And I just added some wall sconces, that were sized down from dine out pack so I could add further lighting. And then I decided to add some curtains because I just feel like you have to have a balance between the openness of the area where where you see the sky above your head and the trees around you and the plants, and also some semblance of privacy, Although the Sims don't really react too much about privacy when it comes to restaurants, I just like the idea of it being, something that you could add if you wanted a more private dinner. The curtains could be drawn, or maybe if the weather wasn't so nice, you'd want the curtains covering the windows so there'd be less tension. I'd imagine that if it rained really hard, it's actually going to look very threatening or maybe even scary to eat in a restaurant like this in real life. I don't know. I mean, have you ever eaten in a restaurant with glass roofing and like almost floor to ceiling height windows all over? How does it feel to do that? Maybe tell me in the comment section below. Yeah, so yeah, you just saw me furnish the bathroom area, made it very basic, very clean. The same thing for the kitchen, very straightforward. One thing lacking here though is like a rest area for employees. If you're planning to play with this restaurant as the owner, that's one thing you might need to add. Maybe add a basement somewhere where the employees could recuperate, where they could eat and rest. And of course you as the restaurant owner might want that as well, like a living space. Yeah, so anyway, here are the screenshots of the build. You see very bright in the morning, excessive amount of light. Balanced out by some curtains just to make it less exposed, I suppose. And then the beautiful tree in the middle. There are flowers beside the tree. You just can't see it because in order for me to see the double height, to show you the double height ceilings, I'd have to, basically like switch it to the second floor mode, and all the plants surrounding the tree disappears when I do that. This is the top view for reference, and this is the night mode to show you how ambient everything is at night and kind of romantic. Oh, one thing I forgot to put here is stereo. There should be music. Music would be so good in a place like this. Maybe someone playing the violin live. That would be perfect. Oh, please like this video if you enjoyed this, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Bye!